what project management is about. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I have been working with project management since 2009, so I've seen a lot of different industries. So everything that I'm bringing for you here is based on my plus 15 years of experience working in different industries with different countries, different type of projects, also providing training, mentoring, and consulting for different companies and different people there. So we are going to talk about what project management is about because sometimes people confuse and they do not have clarity on what project management is about. It's fair. But just before we start, don't forget to like and share this video here because it helps me to understand the value that the content has for you. It helps me my channel to grow, and that also helps the content to get more people. More people can really learn what project management is about. And don't forget, this is part of the warm-up content for the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit is a free event. I'm going to make 3 classes, free certification. You're going to get free assessments to understand where you are in project management. A lot of content, exercise to develop yourself. Everything there is free. Only thing you need to do is click in the link, subscribe. So, what project management is about? First, let's start what project management is not about. Well, project management is not about documentation. It's not about paperwork. Project management is not about meetings. It's not about having a lot of meetings. Project management is not following up tasks. It's not about following up tasks. Project management is not about asking people, have you done it? Have you not done it? Why I'm saying that? Because a lot of those things, although you might do those things while you are working to a project, your goal is not to do that. Your objective, the goal of any project manager there is to deliver value. Why that? Well, any company, they create projects because they expect a value in the end of the project. What's value in the end of the project? Well, if the company is creating a new product, the value that they expected after they launch the product is they start to sell the product and they can profit with that, gain market share with that. Same thing if the company is creating a new service. If the company is working on an improvement of a process, well, if you are working to improvement of process, generally you are looking for cost reduction. You are looking to optimize the workflow there, maybe to improve employee satisfaction, maybe to improve customer satisfaction. If a company is working to a construction project, let's say it's building a road, a bridge, houses, the value that the company wants is, of course, to have it ready, following certain, mainly if you're working with the construction, achieving the expectations there, the specifications there. So value is the ultimate goal of any project. So your goal as a project manager is to deliver value. That's it. But what about meetings? Yes, usually you have meetings. A lot of professions, they have meetings. Even if you're working as a designer, as a marketer, or as HR, usually meetings, it's part of the corporate board. You might argue if they are good or bad. Then I would say to you, depends how you use that. They can be useless or they can add value depending how you're going to handle that. And what about documentation? No, project management is not about bureaucracy, it's not about paperwork. Of course, developing some documents, it helps you to gain clarity about the project, it helps you to communicate with other people, it helps you to track what's being done there. Because what happened, let's say, if you're going to let me give you an idea why documentation is important. Let's say you want to build a house, so you sit with the contractor and say, I want to build a house. I want a 3-bedroom house. I want 3 bathrooms. I want to have an open kitchen. I want to have a big living room. I want to have a nice backyard, and so on. So you take, I don't know, 1 hour explaining that what you want. Then the contractor says to, I got it. And they start to build a house. And then once the house it's close to be finished, you go and visit the house and say, hey, but you did the 3 bedrooms, but there's only 2 bathrooms. And they say, oh, but I thought you said 2, not 3. They say, no, I said 3. And then you went an argument, and then now it's very late stage of a project, in the case of the construction, to build a new bathroom in a house that's almost ready. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of cost, delays, and so on. So that's the idea of having a documentation. So you write it down, what you discuss it, both sides read it, and you say, oh, now it's clear. And then you detail what you said. Oh, what about this? We did not discuss this. We did not discuss the color of the walls. What do you want here? Oh, I wanted the, I don't know, green. So you write down green. So it makes easier to track the requirements, which is quite important. Because at some point, people might have an idea saying, I'm the contractor. This is the kind of person that will like a jacuzzi in the backyard. It will cost, I don't know, extra 10K. I have no idea of a price of a jacuzzi, but I'm just guessing. And then you say, I also did a jacuzzi for you. But I've never asked for a jacuzzi. I don't even want one. I don't like one, or whatever reason. Then say, but I thought that you wanted. Oh, based on what? That's one of the reasons to have documentation. The documentation helps you to structure the project, to gain clarity what you're getting there. So all types of project, they have documentation. Of course, what type of documentation you are going to have in a project, it is going to depend. You need to have something to structure the scope, to detail what you're doing, to list the requirements, to map the requirements, to track the requirements. And there are several different ways that you can do that. So from one project to another, you're not going to have saying, this document here is mandatory in all type of projects. And once I said that, someone say, but the statement of work is mandatory. No, not all companies will work with a document called statement of work. They have different documents that they're going to define the scope. They have defined the scope, map the requirements, but not necessarily you're going to say the name of the document is a statement of work. The name of the document is a project planner. The name of the document is a communication plan. So in the real world, you don't see this kind of stuff. It's going to vary. Although the fundamentals are always there, you always need something to track your requirements, your scope, and so on. How they are going to call it can change. How they are going to do it in practice can change. But closing this big parenthesis here, why I'm telling you project management is not about bureaucracy. Project management is not about meetings. Project management is about delivering value. So your goal, very important goal as a project manager there, is understanding what the company wants, what the customer wants, why it's that valuable, and align your team in that direction and guide your team in that direction. This is what project management is about. So how you are going to do that in practice? You can use meetings, you can use documents, you can use all type of tools that you're going to do that. But in the end of the day, project management is about delivering value. And because why I'm saying that? Because if you end up have a project management that only has, I've seen that I have all types of documents, everything is organized. Yeah, but you miss the value there. You miss the point. You miss the point of the project. So think about that. Project management is about adding value. So organizing the team, organizing the work, align the work towards a goal, make sure that the team understands the right priorities, tackle problems when they come up with the team. I don't know what type of project that you are working on or what type of project that you are going to work in the future. What I can guarantee for you 100% is that you're going to face problems there. So project management is about adding value. And what is a project? It's important to understand. Why? Because you say, okay, I'm going to add value. Where I can find this kind of stuff that you're going to do it. Let me share with you so you also understand what is a project there. To give you a better understanding what's a project, let me share something with you here. So all those things that you see in my screen here, all those things, they are projects. Why I'm saying that? So let's take a look. The Coliseum, it was a project at some point because someone say, we need to build stadium or structure to have events. And they had to plan that. They had to decide, okay, what's going to be the scope, where it's going to be built, what's the budget that we are going to have, what kind of research that we are going to have. The new Air Jordan, at some point it was a project. A new car, it's a project. Expansion of a mining company. This is a project that I've worked on. I was responsible for this piece here. This is a project. New manufacturing line, it's a project. A new house, it's a project. Changing the energy matrix from more renewable energy source there. This is a project. ChatGPT, it was a project. Android, it was a project at some point. The new Rolex, the World Cup, a movie, a new iPhone, the pyramids. All those things, a new manufacturing site, all those things are projects. That's first why you see projects in all industries, in all type of companies that you're going to see project there. Although a lot of companies, if they have what's called a low project management maturity, what is that? They have projects, but they do not recognize they are doing projects. So they do not look to develop this type of skill. So they try to do as it goes. We need to organize that. Then they do more or less. Then they face a problem. Oh, how we are going to solve it? And they do this in a less structured approach. What's the chance? What the problem if you do that? Basically, you're going to reinvent the wheel instead of organizing something and think about what can happen ahead so you can try to avoid problems. By the way, avoiding problems, what's the name of that? Risk management, which is one of the critical skills for any project management. So we are going to see project management is across all over industries. That's why you see project management as one of the top skills already in demand for a long period of time. Here is LinkedIn 2023. Here post from Forbes expecting for 2024. Here is post for 2024. LinkedIn. Here's the World Economic Forum report from 2025 saying that project management is one of the professions that are expecting to grow the most. That's why you see project management growing a lot. That's why you see as a very important one of the top 7 skills to be a manager. Because guess what? If you are a manager in your organization, regardless of the size, sooner or later you're going to find project. So understanding that's a project and understanding how to tackle this in a structured way will increase your chance of success. Because in the end, remember, you're looking for the value of the project. What happens if you don't organize it? You just do as you go. You figure out as you go, as a lot of people, a lot of companies they like to do. You end up you have problems of budget. You have problems of delays. You end up missing the scope of the project. You may end up have the stakeholders, the important parts involved in a project, they are not happy. The customer sometimes is not happy. The company end up losing money, and you don't get the value that's expected in the end, because it's very easy to drift the direction where you go. So think about that if you are doing a project of 1 or 2 years there. So you started here, starting point, and you want to get here. It's quite easy if you are not following a direction and if you're not checking exactly the direction that you miss your goal here. Because it's easy to drift. When you are working a project that has 1, 2, 3 years with a lot of people, you're going to have interactions, and sometimes people will forget what's the goal, what's the value, why you're doing that. A lot of times people they get too focused in what they are doing, and they forget that they are doing that for a reason. So sometimes you ask, okay, why you are doing that? Well, because we have been doing that for 10 years. But do you know a reason why you're doing that? You're just following blindly whatever somebody is telling you. And I know that some companies they have process, they have procedures that you need to follow. But if you are looking for value delivery and you see that for some reason the process or procedures are reducing the value that you can deliver as a project manager, or they are blocking the value that you can deliver as a project manager, you should challenge those things. And you should have those discussions. That's part of continuous improvement. The world is evolving, as the company should evolve, as project management is evolving, as you should continue to evolve. That's basically stuff. So think about what is project management? Project management is delivering value, and delivering value is going to make it can be very different things in different situations. So let me come back to this image here. What was value for the Coliseu? It's different from what is value for a wind farm, which is different what is value for a house. Let me try to make this very concrete. Well, why do you want a house? Because you want a comfortable house that you can live in alone or with your family. Why do you want a wind farm? Because you want a wind farm to generate energy to support society in general. And of course, the company that's generating energy also wants to make some money, wants to be profitable. Because without profits, the company cannot exist. Think about that. There's different values in different situations. If you are working, if you are doing something, and I recently, I've, I've, I was in a discussion where a company was say I'm working on continuous improvement type of projects. Then we have one type of change they would do in their system that would reduce the time of the calls. And then you say, okay, what's the value that you get that? Oh, it's going to reduce the time of the calls. One of the very important things that also you want to do as a project manager is finding how you're going to measure value or finding metrics to assess if you're delivering the value. For example, if you want to say to deliver value, I want customer satisfaction. One of the things that you can do to get value from to understand if you're increasing the value of customer satisfaction is start measuring. You can do a survey, select few questions, ask your different customers to reply the survey, execute the project, whatever the project that you're working on, and then you see if it's improving the customer satisfaction versus the survey. This is very important because if you don't measure, also you are not going to be able to manage this in a proper way. So project management is about delivering value. Part of that is, let me clean this up. Part of that is understanding what's your goal, measuring it, how you're getting get there. That's why a lot of organizations they have what's they call key performance indicators, KPIs. What's a key performance indicator? Simply is a way to measure how your progress into your goal. Think about a key performance indicator. For example, you're in a road trip, you're driving a car. You say, I want to go from Paris to Rome. So if you're driving a car, one of the key performance indicators that you can check it, how many kilometers per hour you're going. Because then if you're going to the right direction, of course, it can give you an idea when you're going to get there. So let's say I'm driving a car at 100 kilometers per hour. So say, I'm based on where we are right now, I think we can get there in another 3 hours. We need another 3 hours to get there. So that's one of the things that you do. Because let me change the color here. Say you are here in the middle, you want to say, okay, how I'm going to get there? Do I need to make corrections? And they say, by the way, we need to put gasoline. Then you are going to feel, okay, what actions that we need to take? Why? Because if you don't put gasoline, the car will run out of gas and you're not going to reach your objective, is to get to where you want to go. So those are things that project managers do. Of course, this is an analogy, right? You're not keeping checking gasoline there, but it's a very simple analogy to understand what project management is about. And that's why you see all types of organization, because every time a company wants to open a new store, that's a project. Create a new product, that's a project. Create a new service, that's a project. Let's say they want to start create a new department, that's a project. Improve the process. It can be a manufacturing process, it can be a service process, that's a project. And your goal, highlighting again, making sure the company gets the value in the end of your project. So again, It's not about have meetings. It's not about creating bureaucracy. It's not about creating paperwork. It's not about following up tasks. Because one of the things that I've seen also through the years, it's project managers. They think project management is having a meeting and ask, is it done or not? And they say yes or no. And if people say no, they put pressure. No, you need to do it. Without even knowing if the task can be delayed or not, if it's critical or not. So part of understanding, so following up tasks can be part of what you do. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Understanding if those tasks are critical, are priority or not. Working with your team, it's much more important than just say, have you done it? Yes or no. If people say no, why not? You need to do it. This is very low level of project management. Of course, you are going to have discussions with your team to understand how things are progressing, because in the end, you want to understand the progress to kind of understand the KPIs here. But only doing that is not going to add a lot of value. Nowadays, you can ask ChatGPT to send an email every Monday, ask people, have you done it, yes or no? And if they reply, you say no, you can get another follow-up email, why not, when can you do it? Fully automated process. Can be helpful, but the value that you're going to add there as a project manager is very low. And I've already told you, what you do there is going to be automatized and you're going to be off. So be careful what you're doing there. So coming back to our discussion, what project management is about? Project management is about adding value. Value can mean different. The value that organization is looking for is going to be different from different type of projects, from customer satisfaction, market share, adapt to a regulation there. All those things are value for different types of project there. And that's why you see project management spread in a lot of different industries. That's why you see project management demand growing. Because guess what? We have a lot to evolve. We have a lot of new products. Our company, they want to grow. So there's always project coming up. And we expect that we are going to see a shortage there because there's the demand for project managers growing. Part of the workforce is retiring. So it's expected to see a gap that are following Project Management Institute estimations there can go up to 30 million professionals worldwide. So it's a lot of people there. So this is project management there. If you're interested, of course, in keeping developing your project management skills, don't forget to subscribe for the Project Management Summit. It's free. Then I'm going to go deeper in how the different skills that you need to have, how you can develop them. And also, don't forget, if you have not done yet, to like this video here, because it's quite important for me to understand the value that it has for you. If you have questions, feel free to ask here. Put in the comments what are your questions, or send me a direct message on Instagram there. I always responded all the messages myself. And see you in the Project Management Summit. Bye.